Welcome to Levelin Up podcast. I've got another great person here. This is Mike White, or Mike W.I.R.D, his stage name. So grateful to have an opportunity to speak a little bit more with him, hear from his background and some of the ways that we can share the good word. And this is something that I think is fun. We've been collaborating on this last little bit, and this little training I hope is going to be super valuable for you. And I'm super excited to dive in and have a little bit of time with you, man. It's so great. So tell us a little bit of your background, Mike, and why you got into this entrepreneurial space. So go ahead.
All right. So let's see, my background. It's like, where do you start when you guys someone's background?
Yeah.
uh I was raised in a single family household with my mom and my little sister. So I was kind of like a dad from a young age. Um, my dad's a cool guy, but it just didn't work out. So and then I got into I was a sports guy, I was an athlete, and when I got out of high school, I had the hoop dreams like most kids that are dedicated to this whatever sport they have. But it's a thin road. It's a narrow path to those spaces.
Yeah.
But I think I'm drawn towards that regardless. So defying the odds, just living a life that you defy odds and you just set out to defy odds, even if it doesn't work out. You still that's what we do.
Yeah.
And that's, I believe that's really where my background is faith, having faith in your spirit and having faith in humanity and the people around you. It's you can't always see it, but it's there, and if you can utilize it, it really takes you far. It takes you far and elevates you really high above any of the challenges that you might come in contact with. So that's kind of my background. Then I got into uh music and the arts when I got out of high school, and when I realized that I wasn't going to go the pro hoop route, I delved deeper into my own self-expression, and that really busted open the floodgates to the reality that every person, every being on this planet, at the end of the day, when everything is all stripped down away, we are creating our own realities. We're creating our own lives. We design and build our own realities.
Mm.
Um, whether whether you're letting other people influence that or not, at the end of the day, that's what it is. So I started to embrace that, and started to design and create my own life, what I wanted to look like, not what the outside world told me it should look like. And so I would say that's the big thing about me and about entrepreneurialism, right? Business ownership and just taking the reins and taking the responsibility. I think I heard Debbie talking about that, taking that extreme responsibility for your own situation.
Yeah. Taking extreme ownership, right? Going and
Yeah,
saying, I am 100% responsible for my results that I'm creating. And if I'm not liking the results, I need to get a coach. I need to get the resources and start to follow those patterns. Because if there's a proven process, we get on that process and we just make those little micro adjustments until we get there. So
absolutely. We have able bodies. I've seen people. I've seen a man that had one arm. He didn't have any legs. He had one arm, and that arm had like one finger on it, and he was playing a guitar like Santana with a nub and one finger. So if he could do that, what are we doing that able-bodied people with all your mental faculties intact? And come on.
yeah, sometimes we let these excuses live inside us for way too long. We need to root those out like a weed. Like it's so important that we change our reality if it is not serving us. That story isn't serving us. We need to reprogram, right? And reconnect with what it is we do want. So Michael, tell us a little bit about your background in music, because I know that's a huge part of your self-expression. You're such a great musician, and that musicality starts to feed into your entrepreneurialism as well. So tell us a little bit about that, and then how that kind of propelled you into wanting to go and share the good word. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, well, I'm a hip hop artist, so
Mm.
there that can be very misconstrued, and in the mainstream, it's portrayed in a certain, it's in a certain box in a certain way. And that goes for a lot of things, you know, in just mainstream society. They'll pin a certain box on around it, and then that's all it's supposed to be. So, you know, when I started to delve into the arts, into the creative arts of hip hop and writing lyrics and music, you know, I delved into the world of it. So there's the surface that shows you, you know, all of the marketing schemes and all of the shock that you can create attention to it, you know, drugs, sex, violence, you know, all that stuff, which is not a hip hop thing. That's an American thing,
Yeah.
right? And so, but we kind of got the rap for it. But when I delved deeper into the thing, I realized, wow, this is a real community of people. It's not just some celebrities on TV that you see every once in a while. It's a real community of people, and there's art forms attached to it, dancing and music, which, you know, when you collect music as a DJ, you're a historian, you're an archivist, you know, you're archiving time and eras of society, and then, you know, being a writer and beautifying the city with paint on the walls, and then ultimately being a spokesperson for that community is where I saw myself. It's like, oh, I need to be a spokesperson for this community, and, you know, do my part to show that it's bigger and it's more than just what you may see on the mainstream media. And
Mm.
so, yeah, you know, I delved in, and I started writing lyrics, and, you know, you create, I created my own, like I said, I created my own reality, and words create worlds. And so I started to create my worlds, and that led me to, because the unhealthiness of mainstream
Mm.
made me want to do the opposite. I'm like, what's healthy? And when I was 17, I had cancer. So that kind of also shifted my perspective, or, you know, my consciousness, to be geared towards more towards wellness. And so that's really what got me into really being an entrepreneur and getting into real estate and getting access to land. And
Mm.
because where is the real medicine at? It's in the land, right? Go to any pharmaceutical company, and they found some plant in the Amazon, and they synthesized it to make it a different a medicine, right? So all these medicines exist, all the healing exists in the planet. And yeah, so I had to do this. You know, this is like, there's no, what else am I supposed to do while I'm here besides, you know, express myself genuinely, and gear and point towards wellness, whether that's financial wellness, physical wellness, spiritual, emotional, mental wellness. It's all about wellness and us being healthy here.
That wellness focus is something that it it's so new to the Western mindset when you're talking about medicine. Like I come and I went to Taiwan for 2 years, and I heard so many different people talk about this idea that, well, a doctor's job is to keep you well, not help you not be sick. And if we have that focus, you're like, hey, if you're keeping me well, now you're worth your your money that I'm paying you, rather than, hey, I'm sick, fix this dis-ease, right? I want to be in ease. I want to be in that wellness space. So tell us a little bit about uh, your experience in creating wellness for yourself. Because I know back in the day, you didn't have the most financially fit background, and now you're getting better and you're more well. So tell us what that process was like for you.
Yeah, you know, first and foremost, again, just taking the responsibility for myself, you know, and getting the knowledge. You know, that was the second step, was the, all right, now I need to get the data, I need to get the information, I need to get the resources and the knowledge, so that I can have a reference to what is well, what is healthy.
Mm.
And then from there, it was just application, and a lifestyle, you know, just it's a shift in lifestyle, just over time. It's constantly a work in progress. So but yeah, the basis, you know, you gotta get the knowledge, and then find ways to apply it.
That's so true. You know, I have this visual that pops into my head. It's of taking a step. If you have one step of knowledge, but you don't take that step of application, then you just keep gaining more knowledge. You end up going in circles. And it's only when we couple knowledge with practical and applicable steps that we move forward towards our goal. And it's the same thing if all we're doing is taking steps, but we don't have the right knowledge to know what we're doing, we start going in circles as well. So you have to couple the knowledge with the correct mental frameworks that allow you to be propelled in the right direction. And you're actually taking those steps forward. So what are some of the ways that you've been able to dive in uh, and really take this idea of I want to have wellness in my finances and start to explore that? What did you do? Yeah.
Yeah. So being in the hip hop communities, I saw a lot of that, just the disease, right, and the dysfunction, even in the spaces that weren't mainstream, you know, that aren't just perpetuating the sickness. There's still a lot of just internalized and systemic, just I don't know what the word would be, just disease, you know, and then as I transitioned from the hip hop community and started to spread my wings and be in other communities as well, I found myself in the ecological design community, permaculture communities where, you know, we learn how to, basically permaculture is permanent agriculture is where it came from. And it's, you know, it's a set of it's based in nature and growing food and all that, but it's way bigger than that. It's really just a set of protocols based off of the patterns in nature, and we use those patterns to inform us on how to make decisions and solve problems, right? So we're taking all these patterns and all this data from nature so that we can, the most genius design you could come up with, right? And we're taking that and using that to inform us on how to make decisions and solve problems. And a big problem in those communities still was access, right? Access to land. So I started to dive into that. Okay, what's this thing? All these smart people about the planet, but they don't have any land to do the things that they're smart about with. And you know, that was the missing link. It was the financial part. I had one teacher in my permaculture studies that talked about setting up LLCs and nonprofits and using them to run business, right? And he wasn't really celebrated for that aspect of what he taught. And that started to irk me, because there's a principle in permaculture that says the problem is the solution. And I felt like most people were just ignoring that ethic, you know, that concept that the problem is the solution. So the problem was that people don't have access to finances and they don't understand how that works. So then it's hard for them to get access to land, because that's the basis of money. You know, of course, now since the 30s, we've been in a credit-based system, right? In the 30s, they had the Emergency Banking Act and the New Deal and all this stuff. And the American people were mandated to turn in their gold and their land in exchange for credit. But if you noticed, the first currencies in this country, on this landmass, were land. It was gold, silver. Those are minerals that come out of the land. It's just portable land. So finances is intimately connected to land. And so I was like, oh yeah, you can't ignore the financial thing. Even if you think banks are evil and hire all these entities and corporations you can't stand, and they're all you can relate them to is finances, that means nothing still, because you need to plug into finance so you can plug into the very thing that created you. We are the minerals and all the elements of the earth. So, you know, it's just all connected to me. It's a beautiful thing if you really start to break it down, how finances is a natural thing. It's from nature. It's literally, we got this from nature.
I love that. I love that. Now, one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we got through today and had some value for people was this idea of the good word, right? This is talking about wisdom, guys. We're going to talk first for a moment about wisdom. You're bringing up, sharing wisdom, how the earth is intricately connected to our finances. It's connected to everything that we do. So let's first talk about what are some of these ways that you've been able to recognize wisdom in your own life. And wisdom is that idea of knowledge coupled with experience. So where is your knowledge and your experience come together? And when you hear the word wisdom, what does that make you think of? So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, the knowledge, it's where it all comes together is what I'm talking about, right? It's
Mhm.
the fact that nature is it birthed all these ideas of finances. You know, in the ancient times, the high priests and all, they were sitting in nature, you know, and they were just meditating, what we call sit spots, right? You go in nature and you sit and just blend with nature, and they would see the patterns emerge, right? All the animals at first, what we do is we disturb nature. That's what we're designed to do. We're designed to disturb systems and stir them up. And literally, this is the wisdom that I'm seeing, is that as humans, right, so-called humans, when we go through a system, we literally are supposed to stir it up and disrupt the system. Because in nature, you have this concept called succession, right? And it's like basically from a desert to a rainforest, or reverse. There's all these different climates that can be created from nature, and it's called succession. So when a ecosystem goes from barren to very plush with life, like a forest, it will get to a point that it's static. It'll get static, and it can't grow any further, right? Until a human comes into the system and stirs it up. And it could literally push an ecosystem to a new level of succession or evolution. And so that's what I embrace. That's the wisdom that we have as humans, is that we literally can go into systems and push them forward in time. Uh, it takes a forest 1,000 years to grow an inch of topsoil. It takes a human 1 year.
Wow,
That's wisdom.
that's wisdom. That's so cool. I've never thought of it quite like that. If we can not like manipulate the system, but utilize those patterns, and we can start to figure out what
It's
things
little
we
tweaks.
little tiny tweaks that
It's
eventually.
like the natives, they would go into the forest in California and set fires, intentional fires back, you know, in the 18, 17, 16, 1500s. And that little tweak, some seeds needed the heat to release to open up, and new plants grow, right? The fires would burn out some diseases, right? That was plights that were taking hold in that system. So yeah, we are designed to do that. You know, we think about fermentation and things like that, beer, and you know, that's a human that came and disturbed the system and figured out a little tweak. So yeah, that's what we're designed to do. And we just, in a society we're in now, it's been perverted. You know, it's just perverted. It's been over exaggerated into destruction instead of disturbance.
Mm.
So if we can discern the two, I think that's a lot of wisdom that we can input into the society, into these systems, human, nature, natural systems, all of them.
I love that. I love that. Now, this next idea that we're going to explore is this idea of instinct. Sometimes we have these innate or instinctual parts of what it is that happens in nature that, for lack of a better word, we have our urges to go do something, but often if we don't follow those instincts, we don't follow what is natural, then we miss out on some really beautiful elements. So let's talk about how you can trust some instincts, and how sometimes you're like, oh, that instinct is not going to be serving me. And we can choose, because we're humans, we have the ability to choose. So let's talk about instincts for a second. What does that pop up to the top of your head?
Yeah, to pop up the top of my head, you know, I think now I'm in real estate. Like, all right, real estate. I've been looking at a bunch of deals lately. I've been going to a bunch of properties, and I'm I'm really having to trust my instincts,
Mm.
that the gut feeling, my gut feeling, right? So, and it's so subtle. It's so subtle. And if you're not what's the word? If you're not open and receptive, and you're like, if you're going into situations like, I already know this and I'm gonna do it, right? It's like you're leaving no room for your instincts to communicate to you. And what, like you're saying, your instincts communicate to you doesn't mean that you have to follow it. You just need to listen.
Mm.
It's not like, right? It's like, just listen to it. And if you're too busy talking all the time to yourself in your head and you don't have no time to, you're not creating that space in your mind to like listen to other parts of your body and other parts of your energetic bodies, what's the point? You know, it's like that's you're missing out on a big tool that could assist you in in moving forward. And so yeah,
That's
just that gut feeling, man,
I'm feeling it. It's something.
trust the gut feeling. The gut feeling is tough, yo. That's a strong tool we got.
Yeah, it absolutely is a huge tool. And you think about it, it's all of the data points you've ever experienced in your life. And sometimes we don't consciously recognize why we're feeling those things, but we have to recognize it eventually. Otherwise, we miss that choice. So let's check this out just for a moment. Now, when we're diving into this next portion of real estate, Mike, tell us a little bit why you personally love investing in real estate and how that's helped you understand a little bit at a higher level why this is something that everybody needs to hear, because you're actively sharing this idea with others. Why is real estate so valuable? And
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to hear a little bit.
I love this. It's like everything's looping around into each
Yeah.
other that we've been talking about. Um, real estate,
Yeah.
estate, estate. If you look up the word estate and what it means, it will blow your mind. Estate is everything that comes from you, right? Your ideas, your body, everything. Your the children that birth from you, all your creations, your like all my music, everything is a part of one's estate.
Mm.
And again, we're in a controversial time. Like I could start busting open some crazy topics that would freak everyone out when it comes to this. I'll stay off of that, but estate, we when we have access to real estate, it's a hard, tangible thing. Uh, versus in our society, especially now, the digital age and all that, there's a lot of intangible ideas floating around and things that are part of a state.
Mm.
And so for me, you can get spun out and lost in the sauce of what it is that a state and all these ideas are. All the, we're your friend before we're talking about just getting on YouTube and just all the digital world is just, it can blow someone's mind. It's very mind boggling. So for me, taking it back down to the base, to the foundation of what it all is, it's the land again, our connection to the land. We are of the land. We come from the land. We got the minerals of the land in our body. I am literally, my ancestors are, I got Cherokee ancestors,
Mhm.
so-called Cherokee from the Mississippi River Valley. I'm literally walking Mississippi red clay. I'm literally walking red Mississippi clay. So the land is having a connection to the land fulfills us in a way that nothing else can.
Mm.
And so I love to just ground people and bring people to that, and show them that that's not a bad thing. People real estate like, oh, you're evil, you're real estate agent, real estate investor, you're evil. It's like, no, we all need this land. This land is where the sustenance comes from at the end of the day, man. Like you can eat all the lab meat burgers you want, but they got the peas from the land.
That's true.
So it's just real, it's just raw. It's something that you don't have to question, you
Mm.
know. It's
I
it's
love
a sure thing. It's a sure shot in the hip hop world, we call it. So
sure.
I just love it. I love how it just grounds us in that spirituality of existence and being, and then you can create so much value from it. It's infinite source of value coming out of it.
I
So
love that. No,
I love real estate, y'all.
yeah, when I hear that idea of being grounded, that's a principle that I actually got from theater, because when you're fully grounded, you are able to make sure that you are accepting your presence on stage. And you think about with real estate, if we accept our portion is this is what I want to do in the world, and I want to create this value, and we are willing to say, I can do amazing things. I can go and do this fix a flipper. I can do whatever it is. There is always something that we can do to add value. And I would love to have you explore this one extra idea with real estate. Talk to us about how we can add value, because this is one of the only asset classes that I know that you can actually buy at a discount. You can get tax incentives. You can have multiple reasons that you do it, not just, hey, it makes money like a business. Talk to us about that for just a second.
Right. Value. So just, it's honest. That's honest. You know, the honesty of it is something that I love, you know, and you can, with that honesty and that genuineness, the rawness of how real estate, it puts people in regardless, right? Everyone, when you start thinking about real estate, you get raw with your life and what's going on. You can't help it. You might try to avoid it. I see people try to fight off the rawness, but as soon as we start talking about it, it gets you into this honest place. And when you're in that honest place, that's to me where real value is. You know, when we're trying to make up stuff and pretend, and it's like it's watered down. That's watered down value. So when we can be in those raw spaces and you know, really be present, I believe that's the real value. In every deal that you make, you got to be present with the people that you're with. It's, if they're not win-win situations, it doesn't feel good. It don't feel right, and it's not honest. So, you know, we've been trained to interface with real estate investing and create win-win-win situations. And for you to really do that, you got to be raw. You got to be real and honest with people, and transparent. You know, that transparency, all those things. And to me, that's really what value is. You know, because we've all been burnt. Y'all, we're in a society that has a lot of nefarious activity going on through, you know, certain groups of people, and it doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel good to none of us. And so when you can, you know, be a stand for something other than that nefarious activity and still be involved in the same realms as that, right? Like real estate, it's just really empowering, and it's a game changer. You know, again, it's just like when in hip hop, like I was set out to show people it's way bigger than what y'all think. You just think it's drugs, sex, and violence, but it's actually community and health and wellness and caring and, you know, mutual aid and all these other incredible things that you ain't seen. Creativity and expression. And so it's like the same thing with real estate. You know, it's like you see the surface thing, the outside me is just like, oh, it's just Black Rock, the evil Black Rock, and, you know, all these other just characters that are not, you know, easy to not like, right?
Right.
And it's not, it don't have to be like that. And we get to do that every day, just shatter that imagery. And I love it.
we take these preconceived notions of what it is, and we say, you know what, there's a lot more here. Everything that we are as humans, right, is happening on the earth. It's happening on the real estate.
Right.
And you're investing in it, whether you realize it or not, whether you're on the wrong side of the equation or not.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so true. Now,
yeah.
One of the last things I want to make sure that we cover here is this idea of developing skills, because there is definitely something to be said for having the skills to invest in real estate in comparison to just having the ideas. Ideation is only a small portion of what it is that you can do in real estate. So how did you develop the skills to be able to add value? How do you develop the skills to be able to take that next step and to make it something better than it was, to dive into those ecosystems and say, oh, here's the processes. I'm going to make this a permaculture that is self-sustaining and start to grow and make it even better than it ever was. So tell us about developing skills.
Yeah. Woo. So first, I follow my heart first and foremost. That's how this all started. 18, 19 years old, surviving cancer. I'm like, man, I'm not wasting no time on this planet. What do I really love? What am I really into on this planet? I'm following that. So that's first. And then from there, honestly, it was, finding mentors, finding the support system, the tools, the resources. And I found that with Renatus. I found that with this community, Bob Snyder being, if you ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Bob Snyder's my rich dad. You know what I mean? My poor dad's my real dad. He's like, he's a cool cat, but he just didn't teach me nothing about finances. So Bob is my rich dad. And the system that he created with the Earn While You Learn, it literally took all of my heart energy that I had been following for the first 30 years of my life or whatever. 35 years old, I think, is when I found Renatus. I'm 42. So, from 18 to 35, I'm just following my heart blindly, right? Like, for the most part, I'm just going to do this. And then when I found Renatus and Bob, he had a system for me, right? He had a system for me to direct this heart energy and the Earn While You Learn, right? So I had no experience in real estate, no experience really with finances and building any type of wealth. There's times in my life where I just kind of gave up that idea that, just kind of accepted, man, I'm just going to be broke and just struggling. And until I found the car community, and the resource and these tools here and the support and what Bob has configured and set up, and I could see his heart, right? So this man, a 9-figure earner, money's not a problem for him. So I saw that. And then I saw, okay, money's not an issue. Then you get this new space to be creative in. And he's went in his lab and he created this opportunity for us, right? And he thought it through so thoroughly. I'm just over and over again getting blown away by the ideas that were able to come into reality from Bob with this Renatus community and this Earn While You Learn situation. So, I was able to start plugging in to a practical, tactical knowledge base, right? Just like I had in permaculture and hip hop, learning from great teachers, right? But now it was was the final piece, right? This financial piece is what is, again, remember the promised solution. This is what I knew is, all right, this is what's going to plug me officially back in with the land. And then to be able to be naive with the skill sets and have Bob be so gracious as to create a situation where it's very low risk that I can come into. Not a lot. When I first started this 7 years ago, I was making $14,000 all year. I had like $200 in my bank account when I came to my first presentation, event. And so I was able to commit a couple $100 to give myself an opportunity to develop a new skill set that I knew was essential for me to get to my next level, right? So to be able to develop the communication skills and the leadership skills and raising capital, engineering transactions, and putting people together to make deals happen and make situations come to fruition, and just sales and marketing and just being able to galvanize people around practical, tactical base, knowledge base was just essential. So that's developing skills. And then from there, also having access to a knowledge base and a support system around just getting the new information in my mind. Because information changes situations. New information changes situations. And so that new information is then also started to change my situation. And, after 6 months, a year, I'm different than I was 6 months and a year before that. And then another 6 months, I'm different again. I'm just seeing this development is incredible. And, after a few years of committing myself to this process that Bob set up for us, I was able to transfer the skills into real estate, which was something that when I first came to this community seemed like an impossible thing. I was able to transfer the skills to build financial resources. And I went from having no credit at all and not dealing with any of that to having over, you know, multiple six figures in credit and understanding what credit was to now to where I'm at, the level I'm at now. It's just, oh my goodness, you know, my comprehension of the world that we're in will be scary to some people.
Mm.
How much awareness I have and where I know I'm able to apply pressure and knowledge to move the needle on ideas and bring them into this reality. So it's powerful. When you develop skills, you empower yourself with agency to make reality. It's
Yeah,
dope.
so dope. Now, this idea of developing skills, it's something that you have to be intentional with. We have to choose
Absolutely.
to have this happen because you have the option. You're like, do you like this? Do you want to go and do something extremely challenging, or do you want to live the status quo and get the same type of results?
Yep.
I'll take the red pill, please.
Yeah.
Let's do the
Yeah.
hard thing and make the hard choice so that I can have an easy life after. I don't want
Thank
to
you.
easy choice and then take the easy route and then figure out later on that, oh, now I have really hard choices.
Right. And Renaissance is a beautiful thing because it was like a no-brainer. So it was like an easy thing to see, but there was no I was not misled into it. I was let known up front. Yes, this is awesome. This works. Look at all these people that's worked for. That's a no-brainer. But and all these people busted their butts to get to where they got,
Mhm.
right? With these resources. So it was never, I was never misled that this was not going to be hard work, and just you got to put your all into this. But if you're in this world and you came to this world and you are committed to something and you're up to something that's major, then that shouldn't really scare you away. You already have been putting that energy into your life and you're up to it. You're up for the challenge. So yeah, if you're up for the challenge, developing your skills can do nothing but great things for you.
Mm. It's such a great mindset to say, what skill am I lacking here? Who has the skill? And then how do I model and mimic what that skill is so that I can develop it? Everything is learnable in business. Everything. That's what I love about Renatus. That's what I love about interacting with people that have been there and done that. That's the only time we see how-tos is when someone's done the thing that you want to do and you ask them, hey, how did you do that? I want to develop that skill. And that curiosity is so key. I love how curious you are about life, about this permaculture, about your culture here in hip hop and in music, because it's so easy to say, oh, this is all that hip hop is, or this is all that real estate is. When you start to take those blinders off and say, what could it be?
Right.
Man, we open up a landscape, a world because of the words that we choose to attach to it. So,
Yeah,
Mike,
to ourselves.
tell us a little bit more about how developing skills, how increasing your knowledge, your wisdom has been able to propel you to increase your opportunities in life.
Wow. Say that. We say it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll simplify it. All of the different elements that we've talked about, how has that
Mhm.
increased your opportunities in life?
Yeah. Well, it's just I've become as the years go on, I'm just um like becoming more well-rounded and just fuller, like more a robust energy to be around. Um I'm there's something else. I lost that idea, but yeah, I'm a fuller being, I'm closer to whole, and I think that's a big thing that we all just innately yearn for is to feel whole,
Yeah,
right? And so this just all the things I've been through are not in vain, even if I don't get all the results that I'm looking for, even now, it's still it's a work constantly in progress, right? That success, right? Working steadily towards a worthy idea. And this worthy idea is being whole, being a whole being, and so I think that's really at the end of the day what is going on, is I'm becoming a fuller being so that and the fuller I am, the wholer I am, the more I have for others.
I love it. it's that work in progress pings in the back of my head what you said. As we are working towards progress, we're working to become more skilled, to understand real estate and business and all these different elements of our life a little better. When we upskill ourselves, we start to be able to see a little farther, and we can start to help other people along. And
Right.
that is so rewarding. So Mike, in the last moments of this time that we have together, is there any advice, or is there something that would be very actionable? You'd say, if you've got nothing from this call, please do this one thing, or this is one piece of advice that you could take away. What would that be?
You know, I would say my advice would be to be present.
Mm.
Be present. When we're present, we have, again, like you're saying, you got a different vantage point.
Mm.
And when we're present, you can see what's happened and what's led to that point in the past a lot clearer.
Yeah.
And you can see where you're headed a lot clearer than if we are worried about what happened in the past, or we're anxious about what's coming in the future. It pulls us out of our most leveraged vantage point, which is being present right now with your breath. This is the only real moment.
Mm.
Is right now. And so, yeah, I would say be present. You know, you're around people, look them in their eye. Like, it's the little things, you know, it's the little things that that I've noticed that matter. And when they're neglected, it has major effects
Yeah.
on the wellness of the collective. So don't don't overlook the little things that you could do to make impact.
Mm.
And you do that by being present, you know, so that you can get the signals.
I love that. Being present. That's why it's called a gift, man. I really appreciate you, Mike, for being on today. You've provided so much value, and I am so thankful for your example, your mentorship, your brotherhood. And man, I just love you. Thank you so much for all you do. How do
Love you.
people find you online, or how do they keep in contact with you? Tell them what you're up to next.
Yeah, you know, everybody on the chat knows, but for those out in the Weber worlds, um, Mike Word is my artist name, Mikewird. Right? When you learn the rules, you can bend them and break them. And
Yeah.
so I know how to spell word, so I switch it up. And then also, so if you just Google Mike Word, you can. There's no other Mike Words in the world that, like, weird enough. And then I have a website. You know, you can learn about how to get involved in this community that we're in. www.mynewprosper.com, and you can go on there and you could check out some of my community members in our groups,
Mhm.
and just the opportunities that we have to level up, because that's exactly what we did when we came to this community. Was we leveled up. So I love the name of your podcast. We leveling up, y'all.
Leveling up, absolutely. All right. Well, with that, we're gonna close. We'll end the live stream, but I'll stay on for a few minutes if you guys have specific questions. Once again, thank you so much, Michael, for being on today, and uh, God bless, guys. All
It's an
right.
honor and a pleasure.
Okay. All right, live stream's over. Thank you so much, Mike. Man, I love you. You're
Yeah,
such a hero. You're such a stud. I really appreciate the energy and effort that you brought
I
in.
am, because we are, bro. You already know. And no man's an island.
That's so much
I'm an
fun.
extension of others, as they are for me.
For sure. For sure. So let's see. We've got Giova and Drakkar and Adam and Eve. Oh, bam, Adam and Eve on the call. And
Deep.
Valerie and Pedro and
That's deep.
Chuck, Doug, Michelle, and Tanya. Thank you for going the distance with us, that final percent. Really appreciate you. If you have any specific questions, would love to answer those. If not, that's not a problem. But I want to give you a moment to ask. Yes, Giova, you are welcome. Absolutely. Hope this was valuable. It's so much fun to coordinate awesome people to be online and to share their experience. So, Mike, man, I'm so grateful to be your buddy. You,
Man, likewise, brother. Thanks for having me on here. You make me feel special.
because you are special, because you're awesome. Yeah, this
Well,
is
hopefully what we talked about
yeah,
impacts folks and they, I don't know, they could, move a dial, move a
yeah.
notch in the direction that they've been wanting to go. So
I think that's all it needs to be, right? Just that
yeah,
one little level up, just like whoop, one little notch, and
the little things.
yeah, we get a little better every single time that we have an idea that we take action on.
Right. This
Yeah.
doesn't Bob, he talks about stuff like it's just the little habits that you do every day. It's not, that's what really is moving us. It's not, these big things, and we're all like, our chemicals are geared towards these big events happening now. It's like, what's the next big thing that's gonna change everything? And the reality is it's all the little things that lead up, that push over and are the straw on the camel's back that create these big events. It's like no big thing is just happening on its own. It literally is all these little things that make it turn into something big.
Little tiny micro adjustments will
Right.
macro changes. Gio, you said how to move towards your dreams when the financial aspect seems stopping you all the time. It is easy to get discouraged. Absolutely. You are not alone there, Gio, but and when I first got started, I was feeling like I was just drowning in financial ignorance. And what Renatus did for me was open up my eyes to know that there is a way out. Sometimes we dig ourselves into this hole and we can't see outside of the hole because we dug this hole too deep. But as soon as you start to get a little bit of knowledge, you're like, oh, I dug this hole. I can dig myself out. I still have the shovel. You have
Yeah.
the power. Even if you're like, oh, it's going to take a little while, that's okay because you have the power to dig yourself out. And you can cut those little steps into the side. And you're like, okay, I've got one. Now I'm gonna do the next one. You get in there and you move the dirt one shovel at a time. So that's huge.
Yep.
All right.
And and we have, you got support, this again, like it's it's belief, but it's also awareness that you have all the gifts, you have everything inside of you already that you need to make whatever life that you want. And I know that sounds cliche and people have heard that stuff before, but how many people actually pay attention to these cliches and
Mhm.
put some belief into them? So we have everything we need inside, period. And it's just a matter of pulling it out and cultivating it and committing yourself to it. And every time that this happens to me all the time, like my mental space is up and down too. I'm not like perfect. I'm battling these same challenges that Geo is saying that she's dealing with, right? But
Mhm.
it's the fact that you stay committed, right? You stay committed to what you want, right? What your visions are, what really turns you on and makes you come alive. It's like regardless of the junk that's going through your brain trying to drag you down, if you have a commitment to that bigger greatness inside of you, it won't matter. You'll know how to endure it. It's never gonna not go away. It's always that little demon there that's gonna try to mess with you and get you and pull you down. But if you're feeding the commitment, you're feeding the the greatness in you, and you're not giving in to feeding into the little demon trying to mess with you, then you're good. And we got it. Again, like this is no person is immune to this thing, right? You're getting discouraged on every level. People are getting discouraged. The higher you elevate yourself, the bigger the discouragement will be. So embrace that. Think about that. When
Yeah.
you don't have any financial challenges anymore, there's going to be something even bigger that wants to discourage you. Money discouragement ain't nothing. That is small fries compared to what we're really on this planet up to, what
Mm.
we're here to do. And there's energies that are gonna discourage you from that, from your sole purpose. And I guarantee nobody's sole purpose on this planet is to get $1 million. It's some type of impact. It's some type of shift that you're doing with other beings. That's the purpose for all of us here. Whatever that may be, it varies for each of us, but I guarantee it's not about money. Yeah. So think about that, Gio. What you're really here to do is some demon that's gonna step to you and try to discourage you with that. So what you gonna do? You gonna stay committed to your vision and your commitment to this greatness, or are you gonna let that little demon pull you off your center? It's the choice is ours, and that's another trippy, beautiful, and ugly thing about being here on this planet.
So true. I love that. That was a great way to wrap up, my friend. I appreciate you. I love you. Thank
Love
you
too,
for sharing your wisdom, your instincts, all the different areas of real estate that you did, and also how you developed these skills, not just in the past, but you're consistently developing them. Because what's cool is when I met you a few years ago, you are a different person now because of your continual development. I love that about you. I'm grateful. I'm a different person too. We're constantly and never ending in our improvement and our desire to get better. So yes, thank you.